Hello, we're on the rooftop at Hard Rock Hotel for the 2018 edition of IMS. I'm here with Christine Brown from the charity Help Musicians. Christine, can you tell us a bit more about the charity and the work you guys do?
Yeah, thanks. Help Musicians is the leading UK independent charity. We were formerly the Musicians Benevolent Fund, so we've been helping people working in music since 1921. We help with a whole range of issues, such as health and welfare issues, funding to help kickstart careers, but a real push for us at the moment are our campaigns and initiatives around hearing, gender equality, and also mental health. And the mental health agenda is really why I'm at IMS.
Brilliant. And from your experience, what are the most prevalent issues you're coming across for music industry professionals, specifically operating in electronic music?
So it was in 2016 that we commissioned the first academic research to exist around musicians and mental health called Can Music Make You Sick? And that was with University of Westminster and Music Tank. And whilst it wasn't looking at just the electronic community, although I'll come on to that, it did bring up some pretty shocking statistics, which is kind of what spurred us into action. From the 2,200 people who responded, and roughly about 600 of those were from the electronic community, 70% of people were telling us that they had suffered from some type of anxiety or depression. And when that's compared against the general public, that suggests that people in music are 3 times more likely to have some type of mental health challenge, which for us was pretty alarming. And as I said, spurred us into action. There are themes that came out of that. Of course, for anyone working in music, there's the possible low income, or of course there's unpredictable income, unsociable hours. There's the pressures that it puts on, say, family life. One of the themes that came out was the kind of pressures that working in music can put on relationships, when often you have to choose between family or working in music. Women talks about sexual discrimination, abuse and harassment, and that was something that was reflected upon by a female DJ who said about the really unsafe environment. So there, as I said, there are themes that are common, I think, across all genres, and there's more, such as obviously with the age of social media, when everyone's a critic and you've got this never-ending flow of opinions from everyone when you put a record out. But I guess for the electronic music community, or DJs specifically, I mean, the hours, are completely different to say that of a classical musician. Bearing in mind we help all musicians, having that kind of 24/7 lifestyle where you can't switch off, where you may have a set at, say, 5 a.m., then you have to travel. And I think it's that inability to be able to switch off that is really unique about DJs, and also, for example, going from that complete high of being in front of an audience, and then going into the comfort or into your hotel room, where there's just the high and then the low of being completely on your own. So there are definitely unique pressures, I'd say, within the DJ community, and added to that, I think everyone would agree, is the environment, which is being in clubs, being surrounded by alcohol and drugs.
Very comprehensive answer there. It seems like there's really a wide spectrum of issues that anyone from an artist to a manager to a promoter might come across. What if you could give a few recommendations for someone watching this that is in the industry, that might have already experienced such issues, or is thinking about starting out in the industry and is maybe concerned about the issues they may face? Are there any tips or words of advice you could give for someone concerned with these issues that may not have come across Help Musicians or anyone else providing support in the industry so far?
Yeah, I mean, There is a responsibility on the individual, definitely around self-care. Although, and I'll come on to kind of other avenues, because of course there's responsibilities across the whole industry to really look after each other, I suppose. But for the individual themselves, I've just been at Remedy State, which is the first holistic retreat, which is attached to International, or IMS, I should say, co-founded by Blaise Delangio and Ben Turner. And that was really about education. And I think educating, or I'd say to someone who's starting out, is really just to be aware of yourself and your own health needs, and to remember that whilst we're educated about making it in the business, how to reach our fans, marketing, it's really important to look at how we stay healthy. And so in that sense, people can explore what works for them, such as meditations, the importance of nutrition, sleep. I know that's kind of tricky, obviously, more so tricky in the DJ world. I actually did a breathing workshop, which is something that we obviously do a lot, but really focusing on our breathing and how that can help. So I'd say, yeah, taking responsibility for our own health, almost like mental health first aid, is really important. But another comprehensive answer is going on to the responsibilities elsewhere, because we have a responsibility, and when I say we, our charity and the wider industry, to educate those coming through so that we don't have tragic situations like Avicii, which is obviously something which is incredibly poignant now at IMS. There's responsibility, as you said, managers, to look after their artists, and there are practical things that managers can do, and I just want to highlight the Music Managers Forum, Music Managers Guide to Mental Health, and that's almost like a toolkit of what to look out for, how to respond when someone is having mental health challenges. And so guess what I'm saying, for those coming through, there's a whole massive education piece to do, not just by the individual, but actually the industry around them and the educational institutions.
On that note of education, just wanted to touch quickly, obviously DJing is now part of the national curriculum. Is there a provision which more surrounds, the impacts that sort of come with that, or is it purely at the moment just to focus on the technicalities of becoming a DJ?
I've definitely seen a rise in education institutions taking mental health seriously, and I can point out one college that I'm aware of, which is DBS, and I've worked with them and spoken at events there in Berlin, and that's for DJs, producers, and those more on the tech side. So I think that there is an awareness and more things are being done, but in terms of it being on the national curriculum, I mean, I think my own opinion is that it should be part of not just these DJ courses, but any national curriculum, whether it's music or otherwise. It's something that affects all of us. 1 in 4 of us will have a mental health problem. So I think it's important that people are educated from a young age in how to deal with that, and also where to go.
Brilliant. And just to round off, your campaign Music Mind Matters, well, it's an initiative essentially a support helpline for musicians that are struggling or grappling with any of the issues we've touched on today. Obviously this was underpinned by the academic research you undertook with the University of Westminster back in 2016. I guess, can you tell us a bit more about the initiative and sort of the progress you've made, and more importantly, how that can support musicians?
Yeah, of course. So Music Minds Matter, as you've quite rightly said, was born out of the academic research. I've talked about the statistics, but also part of the research was to ask people working in music what they actually would want from a service. Or around over 50% of people had identified that there were gaps in provision specifically for people working in music, but also people didn't know where to go for help. So the campaign was launched last year in summer 2017 to really raise awareness of the issue and the statistics I've talked about. But then we pledged to launch a service, and Music Minds Matter, the support line and service, was launched in December 2017. At the moment, it's a UK initiative, and I should plug the helpline, which is completely free, which is 0808 802 8008, which is completely free of charge for those working in the UK. But the ambition is, and the whole reason why it's important for me to be at events like IMS is because mental health is clearly not a domestic issue, it's a global issue, and so we really need to link up with partners such as the Association for Electronic Music to make this service a global service, so that wherever someone working in music is in the world, they can access help. But it's not just a helpline, even though that's obviously a really important piece of the service. People can call 24/7. You get emotional support, advice, signposting, as you would expect. But we've invested 1.5 million to also make sure that people can access free therapeutic clinical support, whether that's counselling, therapies such as cognitive behavioural therapy, and also that we can provide grants for those who are eligible through the traditional charity grant giving for a whole host of issues that may be connected to someone's mental health. And you asked about what not how popular is it, but how's it going? Well, in the first month we had 100 inquiries, and at one point it was actually outstripping Mind in terms of their calls. So it shows there's a real need. There's a lot to do to raise the profile of this service, which is also why I'm here. But the calls are still on the increase, and it's 6 months in, it's in its infancy. We have to still learn. We have to listen to what the issues are and then respond so that we can keep expanding the service. But I should say, by listening, and that's not to the calls, it's completely confidential. It's anonymous. People can call in safety and complete confidence.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Christine. Obviously, there's some fantastic work that you guys are doing at Help Musicians, and if you want to access any more of that information, obviously you can go straight to Help Musicians website or either come through IMS. But yeah, thank you.